If you're getting into farming, you're not getting into it for money, I can tell you that. There's got to be a love and a passion for land, heritage, being outdoors, livestock, growing things, producing things. For us, it's having a good product and standing behind that, and when we have to, our name's on it.
What type of advice would you give to people that want to become farmers?
I always encourage people, start small scale. Start a mini garden, research, and then reach out to people in the field that you might want to get into, whether it's dairy farming or intro to chickens. So it can be overwhelming and intimidating to talk about getting into it, but there's a lot of resources. You just have to tap into them. We were kicking around this idea of bottling our own milk, cutting the middleman out, and doing our own branding 21 years ago. And just how awesome the Nashville, Franklin areas embraced us has been incredible. All these businesses, restaurants, storefronts committing to local food. It's like the stars aligned for us. These coffee shops go through hundreds and hundreds of gallons a week just pouring in coffee. That, to this day, that still blows my mind.
Hello and welcome to the Explore Nash podcast. This episode is brought to you by Go Explore. If you're a business owner and you're trying to figure out a loyalty solution for your customers, we have you covered. Go to goexplore.io to learn more today. Joining me on today's episode is Charles Hatcher, and he is the owner of Hatcher Family Dairy, a dairy farm that we have highlighted multiple times on our account through Instagram videos, some little bit of YouTube stuff. But Charles, how are you doing? Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So the farm is located about an hour away from Nashville, depending on who's driving and the traffic. So it's located in College Grove, Tennessee, which is a really beautiful area of Middle Tennessee because of the rolling hills out there. You're getting into more of the Highland Rim, and then you have these beautiful surrounding hills. Your family is a sixth generation on this land. Let's talk about when your family moved here, but collectively your family has been in farming for 13 generations.
Yeah, so what's cool about our situation is it's been Hatcher males for 13 generations. So being the history kind of nerd that I am, it's easy to research because you just go Hatcher all the way back. And we
even back 13 generations ago.
That's right.
Hatcher. Wow.
So
okay.
We've traced it back. This past summer, went to Jamestown, Virginia, where it all began. My 12 great granddads ago got off the boat there in Jamestown in 1634.
Wow, 1634.
And so from there, that's where it started for us. And there was several generations there, moved a little bit farther south in Virginia, and then ended up coming here in 1819.
And then you guys have been on this property since 1819.
That's correct.
In the farming space, has it been strictly dairy? Has it been more plants? Like, what has it? I assume it's changed over the years.
Yeah, so it's changed a lot. We found we looked up some. A farming census. They used to have agriculture farming censuses back in the 1850s.
Yep.
And that guy would literally go around to all of them on foot and take the census. So we looked up some 1850s censuses from our farm that we're at today. There was hogs, there was hemp, there was sheep, there was horses, oxen, there's an orchard. So there's been all kinds of ag, variations there. And my great-grandfather in the early 1900s kind of transformed into the strictly dairy portion of it. They've been milking cows there since 1819, but dairy becoming to the forefront was early 1900s.
What was that, if you know the story, what was that decision to strictly focus on that type of farming compared to the others?
I think he had a great passion for it. My great granddad, and really had an itch for cows. So he was the youngest out of 11, and his dad died when he was about 12 or 13 years old. So all of his other siblings were way older than he was. So they all kind of moved off, but he was kind of self-made kind of raised himself there on the farm, and cows did it for him. They fulfilled that kind of that niche for him, and took a liking to it, and then over time started growing and growing and growing, and then Williamson County, there where we're at, was a thriving dairy county in the early mid 1900s. I mean, hundreds of dairy farms. So it was a big boom there.
How many dairy farms are there existing now in Williamson County?
Only 2 left in Williamson County.
Wow. So you guys, and who's the other farm?
The Lamb Farm, and they're actually right down the road from us. So the Lamb family's amazing as well. And what's interesting about farming and ag is 98% of all the farms are family owned and operated in some shape, form, or fashion. So every family's got a story and a lot to tell, and passion and pride, and all of them are multi-generational for the most part. Yep. And so that's what makes it, if you're getting into farming, you're not getting into it for money. I can tell you that. There's got to be a love and a passion for land, heritage, being outdoors, livestock, the land, and what you're doing with your hands, and growing things, producing things from the land. So you got to have that passion.
So with Williamson County, what you just said was one of the thriving dairy areas of Tennessee. What was the change of a lot of these dairy farmers getting out of the business? Was it just money came to the table and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to sell out? Or was it more commercial farms saying, we're buying all your inventory and we're going to shut you down? Yeah,
there was in the 80s, the mid 80s, I think 84, 85, there was a big, kind of a market there to where the big guys were kind of expanding, buying up the excess inventory. And so milk prices dropped pretty significantly because the farmer has no control over the price of their milk. So there's a lot of buyouts going on in the 80s. So that number decreased significantly in the 80s there. And there was some recession back in the 80s as well. So times were tight, and it was hard to make ends meet when you're dairy farming, and especially in the milk world. So there was a drop in that decade. And then you fast forward to the late 90s, early 2000s, to where the real estate just exploded in Middle Tennessee, and particularly in Williamson County. So, and the average age for a farmer in the United States is
it's 55, right?
It's 55. So you've got older farmers have worked their tails off their entire lives. They're not making millions. It's 7 days a week, 365, but your real estate at your farming is worth millions. Yes. So why not just cash out and sell out and not have that worry or headache of working 7 days a week?
Yep.
And the younger generation, my generation in particular, there's not as much interest in the farming, and to get into farming as a new farmer is almost impossible because the real estate value and buying in. So it's been a multitude of things that have caused that decrease in dairies across the United States. And so, but in particular our area, the real estate value has been the driving force of that.
So where I grew up in upstate New York, Pennsylvania, I grew up around hundreds of dairies.
Yeah.
So worked for multiple dairy farms growing up. Like that was what you did. You could go bale hay in the summer, and you go milk cows in the winter. So I'm used to that lifestyle. It's hard. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
What type of advice would you give to farmers or people that want to become farmers? There's this huge rise, especially after the pandemic, of people wanting to build these self-sufficient farms, and they may not have success doing that because of certain situations with regulations or other things. But what type of advice would you give to an up-and-coming farmer?
So I always tell people there's an old bumper sticker that I remember seeing growing up, and it said, if you eat, you're involved in agriculture.
Yep.
So agriculture does not mean the stereotypical overalls, straw hat, pitchfork. There is so much that falls under that umbrella. And I encourage people that are interested in it, start small scale. Start a mini garden. I mean, there's people that grow gardens in their window, grow plants. There's, there's ag sales. There's sales part of it. There's insurance. There's some of my great friends are turf grass management. That's agriculture. There's so much that falls under that umbrella. So I always encourage people, obviously, to research and then reach out to people in the field that you might want to get into, whether it's dairy farming, or I think I want to have 5 chickens in my yard for eggs for my family. Like my mom, there's been a lot of demand. She's the chicken lady, we call her family. Yeah, so chicken lady. She's going to do a couple of courses like intro to chickens. So finding those resources that, hey, I'm interested, let's find out about it before we go all in with it. Talk to people that are in the field. And there's a lot of resources too in the University of Tennessee Extension. There's an office in every county, and those ag extension agents are very knowledgeable. There's a lot of resources there as well. They do classes and workshops, so it can be as small a scale as growing lettuce in your windowsill to having thousands of acres. Yep. I even get intimidated when I go to some conferences and conventions and there's farmers that milk 2,000 cows, Which
are big farms. And I've been on multiple of those.
I'm just a small fish in the pond, but...
And the machinery behind milking 2,000 cows is insane.
And you can get so down and out just by looking at number crunching to start livestock farming or production ag. So... and there are a lot of resources as well at the state or local, state, and federal level, too. There's some cost share programs that help young beginning farmers. Farm Bureau is another great advocate. And I joined. They have a Young Farmers and Ranchers program where you just network and you do fun things in that as well. So it can be overwhelming and intimidating to talk about getting into it, but there's a lot of resources. You just have to tap into them.
So one thing I love about your dairy farm is how plugged in you are in the Nashville market. Almost not every coffee shop I go to, but a lot of the coffee shops I go to, they are using Hatcher Family Dairy for their base of their coffees. How has that impacted your farming business? Has that sustained you? And how long have you guys been really in the marketplace building that type of thing?
It's been an incredible experience and ride for us. So I think it's just pure luck in some regards, because we were kicking around this idea of bottling our own milk, cutting the middleman out, and doing our own branding in 2004, so 21 years ago. And there was no farmers markets, no food to table, none of that really existed then. So, but we took a blind leap of faith and cut the middleman out and said, we've got to sink or swim. Here we go. And at that same time, I'll never forget it, that our first partner was actually Puckett's.
Wow.
Andy Marshall. We're still dear friends to them today. He was just starting up their Puckett's in Franklin and took a chance on a local farmer to use our product. He didn't have to do that. Nope. He certainly didn't have to do that. And just how awesome the Nashville, Franklin, those areas embraced us has been incredible. We kind of hit it. It's like the stars aligned for us. This whole local food movement, Nashville blew up.
Yep.
All these businesses, restaurants, storefronts committing to local food, sourcing local food. And we're just at the right place at the right time. I talk to dairymen and women all over the United States that say, what's y'all's secret? I say, it's really location. That's we're 30 minutes away from the state capital. That's just one of the most booming cities in America, growing by the minute.
Yep.
We had one of the best farmers markets in the state in our backyard at Franklin.
Yep.
All these local food shops and coffee. I don't even drink coffee, believe it or not. I know I'm weird.
No, it's all good.
But there is a lot of coffee drinkers in the world, and I don't know how many more coffee shops can there be, but
it seems like there's a new coffee shop every single day in this city.
Literally. Yeah. So, but I think for us, it's having a good product and standing behind that. And when we have to, our name's on it. Yeah. I mean, we take pride in that quality.
Your whole milk is truly one of the best whole milks I've ever had in the United States.
I mean, we go, there's these coffee shops go through hundreds and hundreds of gallons a week just pouring in coffee. That, to this day, that still blows my mind.
So do you believe that's probably the most sustainable avenue of your business?
It is, right? It is. You know, coffee shops, they are our bread and butter. No pun intended on butter. So, but they are our lifeblood, really, for our business.
One of the seasonal drinks that you guys release is an eggnog. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this a couple times off air, how it becomes this black market situation.
Yes.
Walk us, not through the recipe or anything, but like just walk us behind the inspiration of, like, okay, we're bottling our own milk. Now let's get into creation of eggnog.
Sure. Well, I think it's something that my family, my dad, my uncle, and my aunts, it was kind of like a collaborative. We always do decisions as a family, collaborative. And it seemed like there's a lot of dinner table conversations and memories over holiday drinks, whether it's boiled custard or eggnog, and triggering those memories when you're growing up with your grandparents and great-grandparents. And so we thought, well, let's just try it and give it a shot, with the eggnog. Eggnog has the nutmeg in it and boiled custard doesn't. And we always... So there's a boiled custard cult out there that gets really mad at me every holiday season. But
they can go create their own thing. Go buy some farmland. Go create your own thing.
So if I had 100 more cows, I would gladly do that for the boiled custard people. But we picked the eggnog thing. That's what everybody really related to as a family unit, and we just did some test recipes and picked one and ran with it. But I always tell people, there's really nothing special. It starts with the milk. Yep. I mean, the quality of the milk.
So I know this last season was really hard on the hay because of the droughts.
Yes.
For the audience that has never been a part of farming or has never learned of farming, how does weather impact farming?
I always say, when I grow up, I want to be Jim Cantor on the Weather Channel.
It's a good job.
He's like he's like the man. But
he was in Nashville for those snowstorms.
When Jim's in town, it's something's going down. So, but I've always loved weather and studying it and looking at it. But it's literally, we live and die by it in agriculture and farming. So you can have the best year of farming ever or the worst year of farming ever, and Mother Nature has total control of that.
And it can all be in 1 year.
That's right. That's exactly right. So this past year had a terrible, terrible drought. And so we were having to feed our winter forages like it was in the middle of winter in July and August.
That's not good. Yeah.
Not good. You typically get 3 or 4 cuttings of hay a year. We only got 2.
Yeah.
So you're already got a limited inventory to start with, and then you're having to feed 5 months earlier than normal. So your forage is your hay. So, and then next year we could get 5 cuttings, and it's great, grand, wonderful. So,
so in those situations, do you go up to northern providers to get hay from them? And
well, I always say you
pray really
tap
hard.
into your good old boys, and you literally get on the horn and start calling your contacts, networking, and basically, for the milk cows, we have to have. We hold our quality standard in what we feed as well. So. Anybody's got, a lot of people have hay, but we go in and inspect it. Say, I'm going to buy hay from you.
Yeah.
I'm going to come, you've got it for sale. I'm going to go in, I'm going to look at it. We might even get an analysis done with it, a nutritional analysis. So we've got a standard that we like to like to meet for our milk cows. So, and that's just not everywhere, the hay. So there's a difference between hay quality in horses, beef cattle, and dairy cattle. So it's finding that right source. Like this morning, I actually had to go get a load of hay locally from a friend of ours that's got that milk cow quality hay. And thankfully, he had some from the years past that he's feeding, and this is all new stuff that he won't use during this winter. So, and that creates more input costs for us.
Of course,
there's just cost. So, you can never be over prepared for the year, as far as your crops and your grasses and whatnot. So you had to be, I always say you expect the best, prepare for the worst.
Of course. I think, when did you guys open your farm store?
So we cut the ribbon on our store in 2007. Okay. And we always envisioned having a store on our farm where people could come directly to the farm and purchase that. So we would have liked it to initially be a lot bigger, but the codes at that time for an agriculture storefront only had a small footprint that you could do at the time. So we made the most with what we had, and so we envisioned people coming directly to us. In a perfect world, we would sell 100% of everything we produced through there. That way I wouldn't have to deliver it.
Yep. So,
but in that world, it didn't really work out that way. I mean, you got to have a ton of foot traffic. Plus, College Grove,
it's a distance.
It's a distance.
Yep.
It's not just up the street, in town. So there's some distance there. But we have grown so much since 2007, it's not even funny. And with this whole coffee thing, too, we've put in an espresso machine there at our place because we thought, well, we got the milk. We're halfway there, So, and then my dad was he wants coffee on his way to work.
That makes sense.
So he stops there and grabs it.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
So we morphed from a milk store only to now we've got other local products and variety of things, and we want to expand and make almost like a cafe kind of feel. People can come in and use the Wi-Fi and get a cup of coffee and hang and so because our little area is just growing like crazy out there. So
especially if the development right across the street.
Yeah, we want to provide. So I get asked that a lot. You being a farmer, you've got to hate all the growth and development. It's got to be horrible.
No, it's good for you.
So as much as I hate to see the farmland get swallowed up, it is good for our store and our business. So, and it's been great. The people are magnificent. My sister's a veterinarian. She's got a vet clinic there. They bring their cats and dogs to her, and then they walk over and get a cup of coffee and chocolate milk.
There's no other situation that I can think of where you can drop off your cat and dog and then go get chocolate milk or a coffee.
Right. So, but we want to be able to provide that for people. We want to open our doors and provide that experience to those people.
One of my favorite products of yours is the Jumping Jimmies.
Yes.
It's a caffeinated chocolate milk. It's a lot of caffeine and it could wake you up. Do you actually drink that product, or do you?
I do.
Because you said you don't drink coffee. So
funny story. My uncle's name is Jim, and it was his concept. So he said, man, there's like 1,000 different energy drinks. Why don't we do one out of chocolate milk? And we're like, you're crazy. And then we started thinking about it, he might be onto something here.
You're onto something. I buy that thing everywhere.
So we put our own twist to it and called it Jumpin' Jimmy because he created the concept, and on the label it's a guy with long blonde hair on a cow jumping over the moon, and he's got blonde hair. So it worked out great. A crowd favorite. We've got a lot of gyms that use it around town. Unfortunately, during the eggnog season that we're getting out of, I have to cut the jimmies because eggnog goes so much.
Yeah.
I have to use that milk towards that, but we hope to roll it back out here in the upcoming weeks. But, we just wanted a more healthy alternative than all these other energy drinks out there. And we put a little whey protein in it too. You can use it for workout purposes. We have a lot of cyclists that do country rides out at our store that come in and grab that. Chocolate milk is one of the best post-recovery exercise drinks there is. So there's some benefits to it. So why not make an energy milk?
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so you guys are a farm that tries to embrace technology and things that are evolving in the farm world. Recently, you just got two robots, two milking robots. What has that experience been like working with, I can't remember the name of the company, but working with them, and how has this helped ease your schedule?
Yeah, so very fortunate again with our family dynamic, because I've got a lot of friends, fellow dairy farmer friends that are same age bracket that I am, that their dad or their granddad still runs and owns it, that don't want to change. This is the way we've done it for 80 years. We're not changing a thing kind of deal. But my family, my wife and I, and we're in the younger bracket, and we see things as opportunities in social media and technology, and feel like that we need to embrace that instead of, no, get it out of here. We don't want to do that. So we use it as a great tool for us. And then you fast forward to now, the robots, man, it's something we've been fantasizing about for 5 or 6 years now. Milking cows, it is 7 days a week, twice a day, 365 days a year.
Labor intensive.
Rain, sleet, snow, tornadoes, Christmas, birthdays, football games, weddings. It has to be done. So my family was open to that, and I said, I think we should look into that. My dad was really on board with it. We'd visited some dairies that had it, and we saw it as an opportunity, one, to improve the human's quality of life, the farmer, and the cow's quality of life. So we went from us being in charge of the cows to now the cow is in charge of herself. It's totally self-sufficient. So she does what she wants to do whenever she wants to do it. Milk, that is, come and go. And the robots, labor is become
very hard.
Very hard, and I think that's a worldwide thing in labor, especially weekends and holidays. Mm-hmm. And so we were putting, pencil to paper on labor costs and what it was doing for us. I'm milking cows 7 days a week, and we got a 3-year-old, and just it's a lot. And so looked at it. I said, I think we should do this, and it's going to be for the good. And so then again, it was a scary thing. Is this going to work? Is it not? When we went for a loan approval on it, the guy looked at me, the loan officer, and said, what if this doesn't work? Why should I approve of y'all to do this? And you're talking about like a sobering moment there. You're like, you're like, what if it doesn't work? What if it fails? And then I thought, okay.
You've been farming since the 60s. Your family's been farming
since the 1600s. My great-granddad fought in both world wars, survived the global pandemic in 1918, and then survived the Great Depression. I think we can maybe make the robots work.
Yeah.
And he's like...
That's a good explanation.
Yeah, and I think the guy was like, okay, I'm sold, So whenever times of challenge or big issues or changes and scary situations, I always think about my dad, my granddad, great-granddad, great-great-granddad, 3 more greats, and the challenges that they had to overcome. But the robots, man, it's been awesome. It'll be a year in March, and we're still learning. I met with the manufacturer, Laley. Actually, they came this morning. They come in every couple of months just to check in, and we're just talking about all the changes that we had made just in the past 3 months, modifications to where our management practices with the cows. So, but I love it. I'm a coach. I coach football and baseball, And my high school coach, when I was quarterback, he always said, never stay satisfied.
Yep.
And that's always resonated with me. How can we get, and my other country coach said, how do you get more better? So I joke with that country saying, but it is true. It's like, we can always do better. Let's get better at things. Mm-hmm. And so this robot was the next step. And then I think about my great granddad when electricity first came through. That was scary and a huge thing for him to build a barn to outfit electricity.
Yep. So
it's been great. My quality of life has improved significantly. I think the happiest person on the earth about it is my wife. So there's flexibility. We can do a trip here and there now. And so now don't get me wrong, it doesn't solve all the work problems, but man, it takes a lot off of you. I can devote my energy and time to other things that needed it prior to me being married to that milk barn 7 days a week.
So earlier you mentioned the use of social media in farming.
Yep.
How have you guys embraced that? And then after that, we're going to talk about how you guys are featured on a Disney Plus TV show.
Yeah. So, agriculture and farming has historically had a bad and negative kind of rap on as far as the portrayal. So I always tell a short story. When I was in college at MTSU, get my ag business degree, I minored in exercise science. I always love exercising and the benefits and everything that does and mental health. And we did presentations on food groups, and a girl did her presentation on why you shouldn't consume milk and why dairy farmers abuse the cows.
Oh, that must have been
and had no idea of my background.
Yeah, that must have been an interesting experience.
Sitting back there, holy smokes! But I was interested to hear and see. But this has been 20 years ago. There's a viral video picture of a farmer using a forklift to lift a cow aggressively, and it was pretty bad. And now there's bad apples in every batch, but not every dairy farmer in the world or any farmer in the world does that. So I educated her real quick, invited her for a farm tour, and I think she had a new lease on things. And
one of my favorite experiences thinking about farming is my friend had a friend from New York City, never left the city. We took her to a dairy farm for a day, and she literally wept for like an hour.
Yeah,
like realizing how beautiful the animals are, how intelligent they are, and it was just a really unique farming experience.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 veterinarians in my family. Cows get they are family members. We have to rely on them for our livelihood. Yes. So by golly, we're going to take good care of our ladies. But social media, this is 2015, 16, however many years ago. And I'm like delivering baby calves and doing all these things. It's like just normal day-to-day things. And I tell my friends about it, like, man, that's insane. That's so awesome. Or what did you do today? I delivered a baby calf, and then I planted 25 acres of this, and then I got on the tractor, and then I milked cows. And they're like, man, it'd be cool if like people could see that. And then social media is starting to gain traction. And so we thought, well, why not do some behind the scenes stuff and talk about what we do. And so my wife is excellent at that. We hired a girl that's hopped on board with us that kind of helps with that too. And it's been fantastic. We get behind the scenes of the milk does not come from the grocery store. There's a whole program behind it. And we like educating about it, and we want to show off what we do too and how we do it. Where's full transparency and that farming is good. It's not bad. So, and people I think really attract to it because of first and foremost is we want to take care of the land. And we're environmentalists before that was probably even in the
dictionary.
Yes.
Yeah.
So taking care of the land, and let's show that a little bit and see how people react to that. And But ordinary stuff is not ordinary stuff to the general public, to me. And I have to pinch myself too. Like, man, this is pretty cool. I get to
do that in and out every day.
Yeah, just normal stuff, So, but social media has been great. We've had a great following, and it's actually helped our business too. And there's still a lot of people that have no idea we exist that live in our community.
Oh, hands down.
And so that's a good tool as well to find us and source your food locally.
So probably because of social media and what happened, you guys ended up having a 1-season show on Disney Plus. Very wholesome. I watched the whole thing. I think I actually watched it twice. What was that experience like for you guys? I know there was definitely behind the scenes, we've talked about like the difficulties working with these production companies and stuff like that, but we don't need to talk about that. But being featured on a show like that, what did that do to your farm?
It was terrifying, awesome, amazing, scary, all the things jumbled up in a blender, because when you think about going on worldwide television, that can be a little intimidating. So, we agreed to do that under our terms we want it to be family, farming, agriculture, veterinary forward and wholesome. And we feel like we did accomplish that. And, they were with us. It was in the height of the COVID madness. So we don't even know what normal
filming is.
We really don't. It was during the height of the COVID times. We didn't even think it was going to happen because it got delayed 7 months. We were supposed to start in March of 2020, and we all know what happened then. But overall, it was an amazing, amazing experience. We had no idea. We were so ignorant on what kind of impact we would have, how people would receive it, would anybody watch it, who would watch it. And but 99% of everything has been amazing and positive. And so people really latched on to it. And the age demographic is 2 to 92. I mean, we've got young kids that are just think that I'm, a superstar celebrity. And then another cool story was we had a gentleman on hospice care that watched our show every day, and he just wanted to meet us before he passed. So they brought him to the farm.
That's cool.
And met us. And you talking about a powerful thing that we had no idea anything like that would happen with I'm like, we're just a bunch of country people that are going to be on TV and just press record and follow us around doing our thing, So, tremendous impact for us. And we still get emails, phone calls, direct messages, letters in the mail that are just awesome. People are just now discovering it. And that's been, time's flying. Yeah. Been 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
21 is when late 21 is when we aired. So, just an awesome experience. And we do, have desires to do that again. And we hope that 2025 might bring that opportunity. We got some things that we're working on. So, and it's still the craziest thing in the world to see yourself on television.
Yeah.
And so, and we didn't know the Disney Plus was going to happen. They had merged with National Geographic during our filming. We thought, how crazy is that? We go on Disney Plus, and I don't even know how many hundreds of millions can have access to that worldwide. So we've gotten people from all over the world that have contacted us about it, but a great experience. And we're just thankful that the network took a chance on dairy. Who in the heck would think that a dairy show would even be broadcast to worldwide television? So,
well, it from a content perspective, it needs to happen more.
Sure.
Because dairy is one of the biggest items that's consumed.
Yes.
Butter, milk, ice cream.
Right.
Like without milk, there's no ice cream.
Right.
And there's no ice cream industry.
There's no pizza.
There's no cheese. Like dairy is the
coffee.
Yeah. Dairy is the backbone of the American society.
Yeah.
And so it needs to be highlighted more.
And we didn't want to do it just to fly the Hatcher flag. I should say,
of course.
We wanted to fly that dairy and agriculture flag for all the dairymen and women in the country and farm. You know, there's a story behind all of it.
So let's go back to the innovation. Now, because you have these robots, you are turning the old dairy parlor into a self-guided museum. And so what can people expect if they come to your farm on this type of tour?
Yeah, so we really wanted to highlight, so we reconfigured our entire farm, our structures there to be able to accommodate for agritourism purposes. So we really wanted to make sure that we did that when we sketched everything out, the blueprints, and because we want people to see it. And it's still the coolest thing in the world. We've had the robots almost a year, and I still just stand there and watch them. It's just such a marvelous thing. And so we want people to experience that. So, but we wanted to really highlight the past and where we've come from and where we are today. So when you come there, you see decades of the past, the Hatchers that have come before us, the family members, and then highlights of that and where we are today. So you see old stuff, the old barn, you see the new barn, you get some history in there, and then you get education as well on where milk comes from. And you get some vet science stuff too, the vet portion on it, on animal care. And there's some hands-on activities that we have for kids as well. So we wanted to provide a good educational kind of fun experience to where you know where milk comes from. You're seeing robotic milking, the latest and greatest technology that is out there. And then you can see how we did it the old way for 100 years.
And then you can go taste the milk.
And then you
back
can
to the farm
milk.
store.
Yeah.
So you can get the full experience.
But we wanted that full experience, and my wife was a spearhead of a lot of it and visualized and drew it all out and wanted to be able to highlight all that. So, and it's pretty humbling for me to walk through it all still. I did it this morning and just see, man, how crazy is that
you milk cows in that parlor.
And I did it for 30 years myself. So pretty wild.
It was just crazy. I want to hear your thoughts on this. There was a story that came out a couple years ago of they put VR goggles on cows.
Yeah.
And the cows ended up producing like double the amount of milk that they typically produce. But you're seeing on the production side, now because of the machinery that you're using, the cows are producing more. So on average, when you were milking, what your cows were probably producing 5 to maybe 7 gallons a day. But now they're averaging like 7 to 8 gallons. So let's walk through the production of an individual cow.
Yeah. So
first off, your thoughts on the VR thing.
Yeah, that's
have you thought about putting VR on your cows?
I actually did it to myself about a month ago, and I was just
blown away.
I thought I had never experienced it before, but there's an ag company out of New Zealand that stopped by. Some friends of ours had them in town to do some talks to work for a university. And, man, I put those things on, and I was on a farm in New Zealand.
Wow.
And it was pretty incredible. But I can see, because milk production for cows is all psychological.
Yep.
And so you trigger that oxytocin and all that milk down and probably that VR stuff. She's probably like, hey,
it's a good time.
I'm getting triggered. I need to produce. So that's probably what happened on that side. I don't know if the VR goggles would stay on them for a long time.
I don't know. They said like the article I was reading was like the production crazy. Almost doubled.
Yeah.
In a cold winter, like Russian month. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you're in the middle of winter and you're looking through a beach on your VR, maybe you're going to feel better.
Yeah.
So, but the technology part of it from the robots is it made us better managers herdsmen overnight of our cows because we're getting all this data. We know now how much food she needs to produce the maximum amount. We know her health status. We know it's like she's wearing an Apple Watch. We have all that data now, and it's made us better managers of our herd to maximize efficiency. So, and we didn't have any of that data before. And so, as a result, they're performing better, and they're not on my schedule.
They're on their schedule.
They're on their own schedule. So that thing is 24 hours a day, so she can come in and out of there
whenever she feels like
whenever and however many times she wants to, as opposed to traditional way was every 12 hours, two times in 24 hours. So she can get more food. She's more relaxed because she's on her own schedule. She's coming and going on her time as she pleases. My sister is a veterinarian. She's got access to the health reports. Does this cow need some of this? Does she need some of that? Medically, and just it's made us way more efficient on the production side, and we know now what they need to be better producers, and then we also extended our barn. We almost tripled our barn size too. So during the summer months when we traditionally lose production because it's so hot, now we've got more cover, more fans for them to get under, and sprinklers to help cool them down and alleviate heat stress. And so that's been a game changer for us as well.
So earlier in the episode, you mentioned that your dad was on his way to work. He would get coffee.
Yeah.
Your dad is the commissioner of agriculture for the state of Tennessee. What have you learned in his time doing that role between the relationship of farming and government?
Well, I think, first of all, I had no idea the magnitude that agriculture has specifically in our state, the state of Tennessee.
It's the number one
industry.
It's the number one product in our state.
And you look at the Tennessee seal, the Great Seal, agriculture is the biggest word on there, right front and center. So I had no idea that forestry falls under agriculture. So that's under his department. So just me being more educated of what actually falls under the ag umbrella to start with was kind of opening for me on stuff that he deals with and networks with and tries to help. And so, and that's a lot. Yeah. That's a big job. So, but I think he loves it and loves being boots on the ground with the farmers and wants to help anyway, and foresters help any way he possibly can in his department and his staff. So, and there's always this thing that people think the government's out to get you, and that's not the case a lot of times, and I will say that there's a lot of good programs provided by local, state, and federal government that there's cost share programs and grants that can be gotten, can be received. So there's a lot of things that untapped resources a lot of farmers and people in ag aren't as educated about that are out there. Now, you do have your regulatory side, but it's to ensure the safety and quality of everything you're consuming. And so, as much as I think that, my gosh, we're going through another inspection next week, you're like, here's another inspection. And in a way, it can be, maybe overkill, but at the same time, they just want a good quality, safe product for the consumer. So, that we can always get better from the regulatory side and the production side. But I think, and my dad's really helped, kind of advocate for that symbiotic relationship between the producer and on the regulatory side. I think, educate before you regulate.
Of course. Yeah.
So, because everybody's going to be, we're different from every other dairy farm in the world, but we're not better than any other dairy farm in the world. We just do what works for us and our operation. So, there's always challenges with that, but Governor Lee comes from a farming family, which is very good. He's very passionate about it and has a place in his heart for it, which is great that he has that interest and wants to see ag. It's our number one industry. So a lot of love and attention that goes into it. So, but for me, it's been very educational on what all actually is involved with the agriculture. I mean, there's budgeting, there's programs, there's the regulatory side, there's, the economic side, and there's just so much to it that I've just sitting in the back of the room,
just listening,
just kind of, hearing and seeing stuff and the networking too. So, but it's been all good. A lot of people think, oh, here comes another government man coming in here, but there's no ill will or intentions. My dad really wants the best for everybody in the farming and ag, for all Tennessee farming and ag operations and forestry.
So you've been in dairy your whole life, but then you married into beef cattle.
Yeah. And pumpkins. So talk about that experience. Then we'll be closing up the interview with your thoughts on AI and farming. Yeah, it's been. So I met my wife. I knew that their family existed, but I didn't know she existed. And funny story, Williamson County has the Sizzle Awards. It's the best of awards every year, and for Williams County businesses. And there's a best of farming category. Every year, the Gentrys will win best farmer in the county. That just rubbed me the wrong way. That got my goat, as they say. And every year we would go get second. And I think there's a year my mom's like, "You going to go?" I said, "No, because the dang Gentrys are going to win. Why should I even bother with it?" It's always joke, say, I guess if you can't beat them, then you join them. So her long story short, her roommate and I went to high school together, her college roommate, and she linked us up. And then, first time we sat down, we talked for like 2 or 3 hours. We knew the same people.
But you guys grew up on the other side of the county.
Yeah, it's like a foreign country on the other side of the county, but farming families and whatnot. And all of our friends joked around and said it was the farming royal wedding. But we did a small, intimate, immediate family only. I said we could probably fill up the Titan Stadium if we invited everybody between the two families, because her family, her granddad's a World War II hero, and has a statue of him in downtown Franklin, legend. They have an amazing pumpkin business, have thousands of people come through a year, very well known. So, but it's funny how her family will come out to the dairy like every couple of weekends just to get away from their farm, change the scenery, and then
you guys go out there.
We'll go to the Gentrys. It's like a little mini vacation to get away from the dairy. But it's almost like a fairy tale the way we met, and then the farming, the similar backgrounds and their family, and I barter with my father-in-law all the time. We'll barter hay or cows or equipment, and I'll help them during their pumpkin season drive tractors and pull wagons and vice versa. So it's just crazy in a good way. And then our 3-year-old son, he gets to experience the dairy and then go over there to his grandparents and the beef and the pumpkins. So it's pretty awesome. I couldn't have scripted it any better.
Yeah, it's such a great story. You guys also have Airbnb places on your property.
Yes.
So with your rentals there on property, are you giving like exclusive farm tours to these people outside of like a self-guided tour, only to Airbnb guests?
Yeah. So we've offered some packages historically where you can get a private tour while you're staying there. And we hope to roll some of those out going into 2025. So you get that one-on-one kind of private stuff. We've had farm-to-table dinners out there as well that we're looking at, gearing up for the year. Well, we just want to open our doors. You can stay there, and you're literally where you're staying. You can see everything, the entire operation.
Have you guys curated like a bed and breakfast type experience where it's your milk and eggs growing on the farm? You feed them.
That is my mom's like fantasy that's probably going to come true. Knowing her, she's going to make that happen. Our main task was the robot project, and now that's kind of, we're getting our feet under us there. I think it's like on to the next thing, and I think that might be in the cards to provide that experience for sure. But the Airbnbs too are historic family homes there on the farm. My great granddad built 100 years ago, a log cabin, and then another house, and you can see the entire operation from the rooms in those houses when you stay there. So pretty cool. We have a lot of people that come from all over the United States that stay there, and of course Nashville is the new, people come vacation from out of town and need a cool place to stay, don't even know that we have a dairy farm. So
of course
that experience has been great. It's been great for us too, meeting a lot of cool people.
So the last question is, what are your thoughts on AI, and does your farm, in a sense, it's already using AI?
Yes.
With the robots. Are you guys looking forward to embracing some AI technologies to make a better product?
So it's funny. There's a joke in the cattle world that AI has already existed, artificial insemination.
Exactly. Yeah. It's existed for a long time.
Yeah. No, but this is kind of getting our feet wet with AI, with the robotics. So dabbling in that, and I'd say for sure that we're going to try to embrace what we can to provide a better experience product to the consumer. So I know there's a lot of things out there that are getting introduced. There's going to be things in the future, but we'll for sure embrace what we think works best for us. And seeing how the robots are in part of that AI, it's been pretty cool. It's going to be scary itself thinking about AI. People's minds automatically go to like the Terminator and stuff like that. So that can be kind of intimidating, but seeing it now that we're in it with the robots, it's really, really cool. And heck, if it makes things more efficient, my life easier, I'm all about it.
If you were to have a perfect farm AI, what would it be?
Holy smokes. That's a good question.
Because there may be people listening to this that build AIs. That could be a reality very soon. That's locally done.
I mean, I don't know. Does VR, is that in that category or no?
It will be in that category. There's games and things developed in the VR world that are already AI driven. But I don't know of any AI VR farming type things.
Maybe
through that company that you mentioned.
Maybe that needs to be the next thing, because that just captivated the heck out of me. That I'm standing.
So the first 2-hour feature film was just created in the last. I think it was just published a couple weeks ago. Fully made with AI. No studios, no actors.
Yeah.
Strictly AI voices, AI imaging, all of it.
And that's crazy. I think maybe if we could do it to where, if there's some kind of AI that could deliver milk or run our storefront, or
there's AIs that can definitely do that.
Yeah. Already that exist.
Yeah, probably on the storefront side, you still need that human touch.
Yeah. But
there's systems in place that can do all of your inventory management and everything within your store where you never have to touch the computer.
And I think that might be, if I had a perfect one, I think that would be a good starting point. And then I know it's a little bit off the side, but the VR thing, that just captivated me. I never put anything like that on. And I'm standing in College Grove, Tennessee, but I'm in a farm in New Zealand. That's just something.
So was that through like the MetaQuest VR, or was it through Apple Vision Pro?
I don't know. They just threw the goggles on me.
It was probably MetaQuest.
And
if you ever get a chance, go to the Apple Store downtown or in Spring Hill, or not Spring Hill, in Cool Springs.
Yeah.
You can do a 30-minute test of the Vision Pros.
Wow.
And what's crazy from like a creative standpoint, you can have like 100 workspaces in one screen. And so like you could literally be looking at data from cows here, your inventory management, and try like it's all in one thing. So
that got me thinking too, this would be an awesome agritourism kind of piece where people could literally bottle milk with me or ride the tractor with me and just see that side even more in depth behind the scenes that VR might have opportunity to do.
I think one of the things we should do is put VR on the cows.
For that.
Really want to, maybe we contact the UT and say, hey guys, can you build some goggles? We want to try this. We want to document it.
I think the funniest thing, it's close to that, was when we were filming our Disney docuseries, is they put a GoPro on a cow, and I think it lasted an hour. And then
that's funny. Did the cow step on the camera?
No, actually not.
Okay.
I got lucky.
Was that footage at all in the show?
They didn't use it, but it was still hilarious to see the harness that they contracted for. So,
well, I think we're going to go put a camera on a cow.
Yeah.
So, Charles, where can people give you guys a follow?
So you can go to Instagram, Hatcher Family Dairy. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok and X as well. And you can go to our website, hatcherfamilydairy.com.
And then last question, what is your favorite recipe that has been used with your milk?
Ooh.
I was thinking like maybe like a chocolate mousse, like...
I'm trying to think of a I think one of my favorites was Burger Up whenever using our milk for their milkshakes.
Oh, yeah. They used to have incredible milkshakes.
And so the one on the east side of the Tornado.
Yep.
But they had some pretty awesome ones with our milk. I'm like, man, it's pretty cool. This is our milk. It's like amazing dessert at a cool restaurant.
That's awesome.
I think that's one of the best ones I've had with our product. And if I love coffee, I could give you all the coffee reviews in the world.
Yeah,
They offer me drinks and where we deliver. So, but yeah, I think the milkshake did it for me.
Well, Charles, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Yes, thanks for having me.